Friendo, Steve here. Welcome back to the channel. It's time for another Ask Russell Juice. Guys left me, once again, a ton of great questions on the community tab. Every Thursday, sometimes Wednesday, I'll post up a new QA thread. So make sure you've got your notifications turned on. And I got my thumbs up because I'd like you to hit that thumbs up button right there on the YouTube. It really helps the show. That was disgusting. I just spat on my microphone. First up, Deep Voice Dude, do you think the IWC, that means the Internet Wrestling Community, wrestling Twitter and wrestling Reddits, etc., will always be pro AEW? For example, Tony Khan has won Promoter of the Year the past 3 years, and AEW has won the best promotion the past 3 years. I think we're talking about like the Pro Wrestling Illustrated Fan Awards, Meltzer's Fan Awards, etc. He says AEW wrestlers have won Best Male Wrestlers, promotions even won Best Match of the Year for the past 3 years. Do you expect them to win those awards for the next 3 years, maybe even the next 10 years? I think it kind of depends. If WWE is able to change the perception that they're more aligned with the kind of stuff that the internet wrestling community appreciates, then I'm sure that they'll be able to, I don't know, start winning awards. There's always a backlash to everything. Like at some point you'd think AEW is going to maybe jump the shark a little bit, and who knows when that'll happen or if that'll happen. But usually there's, for everything that's popular, there's like a backlash. Oh, it wasn't as good as it used to be, etc. So I feel like at some point we might see that. The thing about AEW though is that it's a direct sort of, I don't know, response to everything hardcore wrestling fans have hated about WWE. Illogical storylines and emphasis on comedy and corny shit. AEW tries not to do the kind of comedy and corny shit that WWE does, even though AEW has their own brand of comedy and corny shit. So I think that, yeah, just because AEW is the counterculture to WWE, it's always going to have a special place in the hearts of the internet wrestling community. But at the same time, if WWE turns it around, let's say Vince McMahon puts somebody that we like Triple H, in charge of WWE booking, and it starts looking more like NXT 1.0, then I don't know, maybe that'll turn around. So yeah, I don't know. But WWE, they're the big corporate monster, right? I mean, it's never cool to like that. And that's one reason I think AEW gets all the accolades, but AEW does a lot of cool stuff. So I'm not going to, shit talk them. I like my AEW. Let's see here. Next up. NXT, let's see here. No, some guy asks, would you say AEW relates more to ECW than WCW? AEW is compared to WCW quite a lot, but I would argue it's more like ECW. Same essence of a niche, but dedicated fan base. Staley's place is their Hammerstein. I don't know. I sort of feel like ECW, my own opinion on ECW is it was really, really loved by that hardcore fan base, but it was not built for mainstream popularity. AEW is. There's much more of a WCW feel to AEW. Like, honestly, with the right combination of story and character, I could see AEW sort of breaking into the mainstream the way WWE's Attitude Era did back in the day. I don't know that they'll find that combination, but I feel like that's a possibility. I think WWE could still break into the mainstream the way they did in the Attitude Era. It would just take that right combination of proper booking and a character and storyline that really resonates with people outside of wrestling to draw them back in. And they'd have to be a lot more efficient with their programming because right now it's sort of a pain in the ass to watch. Raw specifically, it's 3 hours and like half of it is recaps and commercials. So no, I kind of feel like the comparison to WCW is more apropos. I see a lot of things about GCW that remind me of ECW, having sort of lived through those days, because I don't think GCW is the kind of promotion that can really break through to a mainstream crossover level. I think that they can do very well for themselves, and I think they have done very well for themselves with their current business model, because entertainment can be a lot more niche these days and still make a ton of money and be very successful. They don't need to do that. On the other hand, AEW, regardless of whether or not they need to, I feel like they possibly potentially could. Moving on. Betty Frame asks, when do you think we see Cody showing up in WWE? How do you think they'll book his arrival, and how would you book it? Somebody here later on mentions that WWE is going to be in Jacksonville come March 14th. I would hate to think that they're going to debut him there. Yeah, Raw's going to be in Jacksonville on March 14th. That'd be nuts if they who said that? If that's true, that's absolutely nuts. Doug Jackson mentioned that here in our community thread. Yeah, that'd be pretty crazy if that was the case. Yeah, I don't know. They got to get a move on. Evidently, according to, I think, Ringside News today, which I don't always like them as a news source, but they've been right on occasion, have said that the Edge match is locked in. And I wonder if maybe the pieces are starting to fall into place with the possibility of Stone Cold Steve Austin. By the way, yes, there's another review coming up very shortly. It's being edited right now by Rob, my awesome editor. I feel like that we've been waiting for the pieces to fall into place. Once they lock in the Stone Cold match against Kevin Owens, then that'll give Edge his opponent in AJ Styles, and Seth Rollins will have his opponent in Cody Rhodes. Until I get proven wrong on that one, that's where I'm going to stand on that one. I'll probably be wrong on that one, but we'll see. I got to figure it's going to be soon. WrestleMania is coming up in like just over a month now. They got to have him show up and do something, right? So I'm going to say next week. I'm going to say next week. Hell, it honestly, it might be tonight. Could be. Or I think I'm going to upload this on, what is today? Friday? Could be tonight. Yeah. Anyways, Ericu Joshua says, if you were to become a professional wrestler, what style of wrestling would you prefer? Mat-based wrestling, because I don't want to take any big bumps. No Alabama slams, no power bombs, no choke slams, none of that. Mat-based grappling, submission expert. And don't put me in there against any behemoths. Next up, Tyler Warden asks, is there a chance that another group of wrestlers could start a promotion in the same way that the Elite did? Control your narrative seems promising. No, it doesn't. But I'm talking TV deals and action figures. I don't know. I guess anything is possible if the right billionaire comes along, puts on a really awesome product, gets it on a solid cable slot. I feel like anything's possible because the free agent talent pool is massive. I think it's probably more likely that Impact at some point will take the next step in their production, maybe run some bigger venues and maybe make a bit more of an impact, so to speak. Because they do have a stacked roster. Impact has a really good roster. Over some other big money dude coming along and wanting to do another promotion. I don't know that the audience is there for it. I don't. I mean, there's so much weekly television. That's why I think GCW is doing so well, because they're not trying to run like weekly TV. I mean, look at MLW. I know they're not running TV, but it's like they're barely ever mentioned by anybody. And they have like a good product, and they got, a good cast of characters over there. So I don't know. I just don't know. There's enough free agents out there, I guess. But it takes a lot. It takes a lot. There's so much competition out there already. Giants97 says, I know Orton turning on Riddle to end RK Bro is the obvious route. What are your thoughts on Riddle turning on Orton instead? I think they're probably going to be really hesitant to do that, but I think it'd be awesome because I think the whole idea should be Orton keeps pounding into Riddle. This is what you got to do. This is what you got to do in order to be successful. Well, that's going to rub off on Riddle. That should get through, and then he turns on Randy Orton. If they can find a way to do that and keep Riddle a babyface, I think that's probably the way they want to go. But can they pull that one off? It's WWE. I kind of feel like no, because they always keep things impossibly simple over there. J-Man, who should Brock face after he's done with Roman? I don't know. I honestly have no idea. They have overpowered Brock Lesnar so much that the only guy he can really compete with is Roman Reigns, the other guy who's been overpowered so much. They are on a level all to themselves. Maybe if he were to cross over Drew McIntyre, maybe we can revisit that. There's just nobody for Brock Lesnar. If he's actually going to stick around, he's got to start putting some people over, like an Austin Theory, an AJ Styles, somebody younger, like maybe if Braun Breaker comes up to main roster. I don't know. There's Matt Riddle. It's got to be Matt Riddle. I don't know if Brock's going to want to work with Matt Riddle all that much, though, given their past. They've kind of dug themselves into a hole with this Brock Lesnar thing because he's such a monster. He's such a beast. I don't know what anybody can do against him, like realistically. Let's see here. Another one from Deep Voice Dude, Rick Boogs and Madcap Moss. Both are on SmackDown. Both are in their early 30s. Both are in tag teams with long tenured guys. Which of Boogs or Madcap do you think has more potential? Who has a higher ceiling? I see more nuance in Madcap, and that usually would tell me that he could go further than kind of a caricature type character in Boogs. So I'd probably say Madcap. I think that he can probably give you a larger range, but Boogs is off the bat more easily marketable because of his size, his look, and his ridiculous charisma. But can he deliver any sort of relatable human emotions? He just seems to be pretty one note. So I kind of figure long run, Madcap Moss has a better opportunity. I like Madcap Moss a lot. I think it's horrible what they're doing him as a character because I think the Happy Corbin stuff is stupid. But as a performer, I think he's amazing. Or not amazing, but I think he's got a lot of potential. I think he has a ton of potential that he could be amazing. Let's see here. Tyler Otterbane asks, in similar fashions to how Drew, Lashley, and now arguably even Cody left WWE years back and babyface wrestlers came back a bit more leathery and seasoned, who on the roster do you think would benefit from that 4 to 5 year away period? I think somebody like a Mustafa Ali could go away for a couple of years. I wish they'd let him go because he wants to. And I think he could make a huge star out of himself everywhere else and then come back an even bigger deal. I think that's a distinct possibility. I think Cedric Alexander is another guy who could go away for a couple of years and come back. Trying to think of others that are younger. Austin Theory seems fit for WWE. I think Austin Theory is going to stick around. I think he should stick around. I think he's going to be like the next Cena. I think if anybody has the potential to be the next Cena, it's going to be Austin Theory. Marvell asks, what's the weirdest place you've ever seen wrestling take place? I know they have a taco festival out here that has wrestling. So I probably there because that's sort of like unlikely, right? We'll end on this one. We're going to end on this one. Well, actually, here's another one. The Hound 316. If Vince ever did retire, what would he do? Man has worked 20 hours a day for the past 50 years. He doesn't strike me as someone who would be down for a round of golf. Yeah, that's a great point, by the way. He probably will never retire. He will probably never retire. He might be around for another 10 years or so. And yeah, I mean, unless his stamp on the product is so visibly bad that just everything starts to tank, I think he's going to be untouchable. Let's see here. All right, well, we're going to end on this one. This is a big bummer considering world events, but I think it's a good question. Callum Cole says, with the state of current world events, do you think NXT UK could prematurely end the reign of Ilya Dragunov, not one in the face of their brand to be Russian? I honestly don't know. I think it might be something that they are probably actively considering and maybe discussing. I would hope that the individual wouldn't be affected by the actions of his government. So I would hope not. But the reality is they will probably have fans when they run TV and live events, probably sooner than later, given that a lot of restrictions are being lifted in a lot of different places. And I'm not sure crowds can be trusted not to sort of take over taping situations, live situations like that, and direct some anger, direct some comments towards his way, which is completely not his fault. I don't know. I think it's an interesting question. And it's one that is going to be interesting to see how that plays out. I would hope not. I would hope that people would understand that a person is not representative of their government. All right. Anyways, no dog today. She's in where? Why is this here? She's on the bed laying down. She's soaking in some rays next to the window. So check out this video over here. Hopefully you guys have a good weekend, and we'll see you when we see you.